ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. This is Tanush, and today we'll be discussing about a transit which happened on 28th of November. So on 28th of November, Mercury has moved into the sign of Scorpio. So why is this transit important for us? Because Sun and Ketu are already sitting in the sign of Scorpio, and now Mercury is going to join. So on 14th of November, there is a solar eclipse which is taking place in the sign of Scorpio. So this is going to impact Mercury very badly. So let us see, what does Mercury mean, what does Ketu mean, what is the sign of Scorpio, and what happens when Mercury and Ketu conjunct with each other. So Mercury is our intelligence, it is our thinking ability, it is our analytical skills. It represents our mind, it represents our speech, communication, siblings, it represents our decision making capability, and it also represents media, journalism. We see lawyers and financial consultants from Mercury, even engineers. So Mercury represents many things. Now, what does Ketu represent? Now, Ketu is a headless planet. So because it is headless, it doesn't like to think. So Ketu represents isolation. Ketu represents letting go of things, which basically implies spiritualism also. It represents things which we have achieved in our past life and things which we are not going to get in the present life. So this causes little bit of frustration as well. Ketu represents our past life. It represents confusion, directionless, and also spiritualism. Now, the sign of Scorpio, which we discussed earlier in the Sun transit, is a very intense sign. It is a very secretive sign, and it represents things which are buried underground. It represents the dark secrets. Being the natural 8th house, it represents sudden events, transformation. So the sudden events can be sudden accidents, many sudden things which happen in our life, which can be bad, which can be good also. So good things like winning of lottery or sudden gains from business or speculation. So it represents many things, and it's a very mysterious sign. So now Mercury in Scorpio, what does it present? Because Mercury is an analyst. It analyzes the things, it communicates the things which it has analyzed. So when Mercury goes into the sign of Scorpio, it goes deep underground, tries to search for the truth. It gathers all the information, analyzes the information, and passes it on to the to the proper authority. So now the way Mercury works in Scorpio depends a lot on how the owner of the sign or the lord of the sign Scorpio, which is Mars, is placed in the chart basically. So if Mars is exalted or Mars is placed in a very good sign, then Mercury communicates it's finding properly to the authority. And if Mars is kind of debilitated in this kind of sign of Cancer, so it represents that the person, Mercury will kind of take advantage of that situation, and the person might make money from the information which he has gathered. So it's a tricky situation. And Mercury in Scorpio represents people who are into investigation, like intelligence agencies, police officers, secret agents, like we have CBI, FBI, etc. Now, when Mercury is our mind, Mercury is our intelligence, it is our thinking capability, and Ketu on the other side it's a headless entity. It represents isolation. It doesn't like to think, it doesn't like to act, it's kind of a spiritual entity. So when Mercury conjuncts with Ketu, then it will directly impact our intellectual capability, it will impact the way we think, and we might take some wrong decisions. So now, before going into the conjunction and discussing the impact on the 12 ascendants, I would like to tell you that three planets are going to get conjunct in the sign of Scorpio, which are Mercury, Sun, and Ketu. Now, we cannot exactly tell at one point of time the results of these three conjunctions. Why is it that? So, whenever we have planetary conjunctions like 2, 3, 4, 5 conjunctions, the planet which holds the lowest degree will actually drive the conjunction. It will have the maximum say in the conjunction. So now what happens is the speed of all these three planets is quite different. So Mercury moves with its own pace. So now it comes closer to Sun and it catches up with Sun. It gets combust. And Ketu is already present at close to 20, 23, 24 degrees. So the planet which holds the lowest degree will actually drive the conjunction, which means initially Mercury is going to drive the conjunction, but as soon as Mercury comes close to Sun or crosses the Sun, then probably Sun might drive the conjunction, or when these two planets, if they are close enough with Ketu and they pass the degrees of Ketu, then Ketu will drive the conjunction. So overall it's a confusing phase. Now let us see ascendant by ascendant what will be the impact. So this is at a very generic level I am telling. So this might vary a little bit based on the degrees of the planet. So for Aries, Mercury is moving into the 8th house. And as we discussed, Scorpio is a natural 8th house. Ketu and Sun are already present in the sign of Scorpio to conjunct with Mercury. So at this time, because the planet of communication is in conjunction with Ketu sitting in the 8th house, aspect in the 2nd house, it will directly impact your speech. So you have to be extremely careful the way you are speaking. You might speak a few things which might not make a lot of sense, and people might take you in a wrong sense, and this may lead to conflict in the family. So you have to be very careful on that front. As well as when you are communicating with your in-laws, again the same thing, your communication has to be very careful, and you should think before you talk. Now this conjunction is very good for engineers, as Mercury and Ketu conjunction, especially in the 8th house, is very good for people who are working in electronics field, especially the electronics engineers. Because Mercury also represents siblings, again the communication with siblings should be very thoughtful, think before you talk. Short travels are possible. Avoid taking debts during this time, because Mercury also represents natural 6th house. So if you take debts during this time, you might end up paying back for a long time. I mean, you might take some time to pay your debts off. Now coming to Taurus, Mercury is moving into a 7th house. Mercury Ketu conjunction, which is happening in the 7th house, might create some stress in your marriage. Be very precise and clear in communication with your business partners as well as your spouse in order to avoid stressful situations. Otherwise, it's a good time to have new business deals. You can, if you are planning to get loans, it's a very good time. You can get loans. Children will do very good in education, and you might develop an inclination to learn new technology. So be very focused. It's a time when you lose your focus and you'll have to put in extra efforts. Otherwise, it's a good time. Now for Gemini ascendant, Mercury is Lord of your Lagna. So when Mercury conjuncts with Ketu, or Mercury is combust when it conjuncts with Sun, it's directly going to impact you. For you and Virgo ascendants, it's going to impact, because Mercury is Lord of your ascendant. So you might face some small health issues which might be related to skin or seasonal allergies. So you need to take little care on that front. So you'll have confusions, in small things. Your thought process might not be very clear. You might plan to go on long trips. You will be interested in spiritual activities, and you may make new plans for your future. So the plans may not be very clear, it may be very vivid at this point of time, but you'll soon you'll get clarity on your plans. So just keep thinking and be focused. Now for Cancer ascendants, Mercury is transiting into fifth house. So be little careful while spending money. You might spend money on a lot of unnecessary things. You will want to learn new things during this time, and you might want to take part in entertainment activities. You will meet your old friends and spend good time with them. Uh, you will have small issues with education of your children. You might not be happy because children might lose focus, but it's a temporary phase. You don't have to worry much on that. You may get expected money or gains from the business, or you might get some gains from your profession. Now, for Leo ascendant, Mercury is transiting into fourth house. Fourth house is your domestic, field, your home, and Mercury is lord of your second and 11th house, which means it is lord of your monetary gains and lord of your savings. So it's a very good time for you. You will have great time at home as well as on professional front. You will have good gains from profession or business, and you will be able to save the money which you have gained. There will always be little confusion about investing the money. You will be little confused where you have to invest money. So be little careful on that front. Otherwise, it's a good time for you. Now, for Virgo ascendants, as we discussed, Mercury is lord of your ascendant, and it is transiting into your third house of communication, of siblings. So because Mercury is again lord of your lagna, you will face some issues related to seasonal changes or seasonal allergies, something related to skill. Your analytical abilities will not be very clear, so there will be confusion on that front, because Mercury and Virgo, they represent analytical skills, specifically the sign of Virgo. Now, communication will be good, but not up to the mark. You will involve in some writing activities and publishing of things which you have already done, or you might start some writing activities, or some paper on some specific field. Overall, it will be a dynamic time, but there will be little confusion. Now, for Libra, the Mercury transit is happening in your second house. Your speech will be little confusing. There will not be clarity in your speech. You will not be able to communicate your thoughts and ideas with clarity and precision. So be little careful on that front. You will travel to spiritual places. You will develop interest in occult and astrology. You can have some sudden monetary gains from some unexpected sources, and you can involve in some secret activities. Now, for Scorpio ascendants, this is happening in your lagna. So we discussed a lot about what does the sign of Scorpio mean. So you will get involved in some research activities. Some of your secrets which you are hiding from the world from long time might be revealed. Otherwise, it's a dynamic time, but be little careful. Communication with the in-laws will be very confusing again. You can expect monetary gains from some secret source. Um, in general, Scorpio people are little secretive, and this nature of yours will create a lot of confusion. People might misunderstand you during this time. So be little careful. Try to be very clear in your communication, as clear as possible. So you'll be able to pass the time. So now Sagittarius ascendant, this transit of Mercury is happening in your 12th house. So try to be clear in communication with your business partners, especially and your spouse, else it might create unnecessary confusion. You may go on a long distance journey, which may be for pleasure, or it can even be for for your business or for your profession. You may feel confused on professional front and may also feel directionless. So be little patient for some time. This confusion would be there, but this phase will ultimately go away. So you will also take interest in spiritual activities and might go on pilgrimage. Now for Capricorn ascendants, this transit of Mercury is happening in your 11th house of material gains. So you will go on long journeys and the journeys will be extremely fruitful for you. You may not be able to catch up with your daily routine, so you will struggle on that front. Your daily routine might be disturbed. Court cases, if any, may see you might see them to be heading nowhere. I mean, there may be some confusion on that front too, but it's a temporary phase again. You will develop deep interest in spiritual activities and may also go on pilgrimage. Now for Aquarius ascendant, the transit of Mercury is happening in your 10th house. So in profession, you may get into some new project or work which might demand you to learn some new technology, or you might get into some research work. So and this will be very beneficial for you in long run. For some time you may feel you are directionless, but soon you'll realize that whatever things are happening are for your good. Be watchful of your enemies during this time. They may conspire on you or they may backstab you. Otherwise, it's a good period to learn new things, or even if you're planning for a job change, you can start planning for it. Now, for Pisces ascendant, this transit of Mercury is happening in your 9th house. So, Ketu is already in the 9th house, Mercury, Ketu, Sun. So, you will get spiritual during this time, and you might get into reading some scriptures, and you might go on pilgrimage to some spiritual places. If you are involved in writing, then again this is a time to publish your writing, or you can start writing if you are interested in writing and publishing. Communication will be very good during this time. You will involve in mass communication activities. You can have some get together with your siblings, and it will be a great time, but be watchful again of your communication, because from 9th house, Mercury and Ketu are again aspecting the 3rd house of communication. So you will have to be a little careful on that front, otherwise it's a good time. You will spend good time with your spouse and may travel to different places. So guys, this was my analysis on Mercury transit. If you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel. For personal consultation, you can visit my website. You can WhatsApp me, or you can even email me. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and see you soon again with another video.